Hello fellow Minecrafters, Gearsaw Studios here. Today I'm going to show you how to build a giant pyramid, so that way you can have your favorite desert landmark within your own world. However, before I begin, remember, please like and subscribe, it really helps me out. So with that, on to the tutorial. For this builds palette, we are going to be using a collection of sandstones and some terracotta. So, smooth, chiseled, and normal sandstone, and some good terracottas are blue and orange, because we want it to look kind of faded so concrete doesn't exactly work the best. Then, you should find a massive area to work with inside a desert. So, about 50 by 50 would work. However, if you want it smaller or just don't have that many resources, you can go smaller. So, this area works good, so get your resources ready. So, due to the genuine difficulty of building this much sandstone in one sitting, I'm going to be using a lot of commands to do this. And in case you are doing this in creative mode, you can use the commands I use. So, you should dig down about 2 blocks or to the lowest where you think the pyramid might end up on. So, if you have some not so flat terrain, like over there, you might have to go lower. So, once you're at your desired Y level, stare upward and just do /fill. Then you use utilities in order to make it your actual position. And although it may seem like you should put 50, only do 49 because it's inclusive and that will make it off-centered. Unless you want to have it an even amount of blocks. So if you want it to be odd, do 50. If you want it to be even, do 45. Or 49. So just do this command here and just do sandstone. So if I can figure out how to type sandstone, and like this, we have a layer ready. So it seems like if you have an area and you underestimated how unflat it would be, you're going to have to do a small amount of terraforming. So just like this, just extend whatever terrain there is and make it look like that it blends in naturally. So something akin to this, so make sure that it looks like that it was generated this way, because having a floating sandstone platform underneath a giant pyramid isn't a very good look. So you could add some sand here and there, but your main objective is to just make sure that there's no floating pieces. Then, once you're ready to do the next layer, you're going to have to go 1 block in, and right here, subtract 2 from the same command you just did. So 48, or in case I'm wrong, you might have to do 49. So now that we've done this, it seems like nope, I actually got the command right, so just keep repeating this command. Or for those of you in survival, just go 1 block inward, 1 block up, 1 block inward, 1 block up, and eventually it'll end in a point. So it's going to take a lot of resources to do this. And once you're done, you're going to have to do a lot of excavation if you want to do an interior. So make sure you're ready to do this. Also, try to make sure it's hollow so that way it's easier to just build on the inside. Because when you have to do that much sandstone excavation, it's going to be hard to excavate it again and build the interior. So we are nearing the top of the pyramid. So if you were using /fill to do this, then you can stop using /fill because it's honestly just easier to finish it off just by manual building. So just like that, we have the pyramid's exterior finished. So we just have a natural wonder of the world, and it's very pretty to look at. Just imagine walking around and you just see this pyramid. So I highly recommend building one. However, another thing you might want to do is create an interior. So what you should do is find the middle of the build, which is pretty easy when there's a giant point on top, unless you have an even amount of blocks, in which you're going to have to use 2 middle blocks. And about halfway up the pyramid, you should start creating an entrance into it. So something like this, and make it symmetrical, and just start making an entrance. So I'm just using basic sandstone right now, but make sure to decorate it with the different kinds of sandstone, such as smooth, chiseled, whatever you use. Maybe even red sandstone if you're in a mesa. So, just create an entrance. So, I'm decorating this entrance, and one thing you should note is the existence of smooth sandstone. So, I forgot to include it in the palette mainly because I just forgot this block even existed. And it's definitely a good block. So, try incorporating it into various parts of the build. Because sandstone itself works better as a foundation, while smooth sandstone works like a wall. So, smooth sandstone is an amazing way to make your build look better because normal sandstone just looks like a foundational thing. So, remember to incorporate the smooth sandstone into the build. Along with that, don't forget, terracotta is supposed to be an accent block, so don't overdo it. So, with a complete entrance, the logical thing to do would obviously start making the interior. But there's one thing you have to account for. Since I built this with commands, it's completely solid. So you're going to have to establish some points of interest inside. So going down the middle and just drilling a hole right through the pyramid is a good way to define the middle. Because if you know the middle, you can get a rough idea of how far you can go without hitting the edges and possibly breaking the surface of the pyramid. Along with that, just going inside here and making a lap around the insides is another good way to determine where your stuff is going to be without hitting the outside. Because if it's just a small tunnel bore like this, then it's not a big deal if you break the outside. But if you have an entire catacomb or something, that's not going to be good if it penetrates the outside. So, establish your boundaries. Now that we've established some boundaries by excavating some parts of this pyramid, we should take the middle part we have right here and remove it. Because a pyramid doesn't work that good when it's literally just a wraparound thing, kind of like the sides of ocean monuments. So, excavate this middle area and then go up and repeat this process again. So, I've established the boundaries of the pyramid so that way we don't accidentally puncture the outside. And now we just have a big room here. So, we need to continue the wall design from over here. So, have the very bottom block be alternating between chiseled and cut. And while you're doing that, make small pillars like this or some other accent block you can think of. So that way there's just edges. And while continuing the alternating pattern, replace all the other blocks with smooth sandstone because it looks a lot more refined. So do this all across the pyramid. However, these upper parts, ignore them for now. Now, with more layers and a complete wall design, we should create some sort of thing near the wall so that way it's not so empty. So, I recommend digging out an area near here and just make it 1 block deep and 2 blocks wide. And what you want to do here is flood it with water. Although we are in a desert, if you're rich in a desert, that stuff we call water is pretty much gold. So keeping a large amount of it could look cool in here. So dig out a large area, line it with smooth sandstone here. You can leave it as normal sandstone here and flood it with water. It also includes some lily pads, so that way it's just more serene. So once you've lined the area with water, I recommend making the waterbed clay, so that way we can also include small drip leaves. So, placing small drip leaves around like this, and just in this small area alone, it looks a little bit better. So, include some small drip leaves here and there. Along with that, big drip leaves are also not a bad choice, so try including a couple of those. So, now that we have the plants in, I've replaced the big drip leaf with lily pads, so just a little thing so that way it matches better. So, one other thing we should do is every bottom layer of these little notches up here, we should replace with smooth sandstone. I just think it's a neat detail that we should include because it just breaks up all the yellowness in this room with a different shade of yellow. So I have this cut sandstone installed into it, and I replaced the very top section with just a normal pyramid pattern. So now what we should do is add staircases, but not those staircases you walk up like this. Instead, inverted staircases. So find the sides of the building that are like this, so you can use the middle, and you can find the edges. So when you find those, make stairs like this that slowly converge into the middle. So this just adds a neat little detail, and once they get to the level where they all connect, then just go back down or something. So just repeat this on all sides. Once you have that done, make the middle part normal sandstone. With these inverted stair things, the pyramid looks a lot better. Along with that, the little parts that the stairs don't cover up can be accented with terracottas, so it looks very good. Now, you may have noticed that I've been using night vision for like the entire interior of this video. So, it's time to place down some light sources. And first, we need to place down some pillars. So, add pillars at the little corner pieces of the build, and once they reach the one block off the ground, then you just add some cut sandstone. And you can do this every couple blocks or so. So you can have like 2 per side. So doing this, we can add torches later on. So do it like this pattern, so you can have 3 per corner, 12 in total. So I have the pillars in, but of course we can't see anything. So we're going to be using these pillars as a lighting source. So just place some torches on them here and there. So make sure you have quite a few torches because this is a pretty big room. So as it gets lit up by the torches, you can start seeing more and more of the room, and it's just a lot more atmospheric because it's just more pyramid-like because you can't even see the ceiling that well. And if you're on mobile, you probably can't even see the ceiling at all, and I'm probably just making this awful to watch. So now that we have this, we can start by decorating the other areas. So probably a couple of torches here and there to make sure the walls are more lit up. Just add little details here and there to make sure that it's bright enough. So now that the place is lit up with a couple of lanterns, because they did have those back in the day, it's time to place down the carpet so that way there's a proper lead into the throne. So starting from about here or so, we can have a carpet, and we can just extend it and possibly even create some unique patterns as it goes along. So I've designated this middle part where there's just a mess of sandstone to be the throne. So now that we have this carpet, it's time to design a throne. So obviously you should grab all the materials you need. So get your sandstone and preferably emeralds because we're already using a green carpet because there's cacti everywhere in the desert. So we should use emerald blocks or possibly even diamonds to decorate the throne. So I'm going to go with emeralds, but you can choose diamonds. So I've replaced the entrance with an emerald block instead of blue terracotta just because I think it looks better. You can add other small details such as stairs. But the important thing is we have the throne, and I've started making a basic schematic for it. So we should obviously have some wool because, an emperor or king or pharaoh or whatever there is living in this pyramid needs a comfy place to sit. So create some sort of cushion like this and surround it with the sandstone blocks that you have. So something like this, and don't be afraid to use normal sandstone because this thing is pretty much just a foundation with some smooth sandstone around it. So have this around. You can include some stairs too, and you might want to move pieces forward so that way it properly wraps around the cushion itself. So like this, and extending it upward. Just do little things so that way the cushion, doesn't look like this. Instead, it looks formal. So just do various things to it and see how it works out. So with some more lighting added to the throne, I think it's thoroughly completed with this little emerald block right here. So now that it's a proper throne, it's time to work on the back part. So I may or may not have used slash fill for the clay part, and what we should do is make a dungeon. So by excavating this out, we can create a staircase, and it's pretty dark back here, so you might need to add torches to the back of the throne, so that way you can actually see back here, and some creepers don't decide to take this thing hostage. So now that we have this area, we can add stairs, and what we should do is just go deep into the pyramid. And of course it's getting dark, so remember to place a lot of torches so that way you can see. And so that way the creepers don't show up. Because trust me, I've had way too many creepers detonate on me when building things like this. So be very careful. So I've replaced the back of the throne with an Ankh symbol, a specific hieroglyph that's just pretty important in Egyptian culture, so maybe include a couple of Ankhs around the build. But the important thing is I dug out part of this catacomb part. So what we should do is just excavate a very large room, but not too large. So probably around 10 by 10 or a little bit bigger or smaller depending on what you want. And this is where the pharaohs will be buried. So just a catacombs in here. So excavate an area out so that way we can build a catacomb. So I've dug out a burial chamber and I've decorated the walls, and now we have these little tables we can put stuff on. So get gold and emeralds or just whatever you can think of and just put it on the table. Raw gold works a lot better than just gold blocks, so I recommend adding that. You might want to dig out some areas so you can place the stuff, possibly even have pits of just gold, and just add lots of things that seem valuable. So gold, emeralds, things that are important to you, weapons, books, whatever. Now with various goodies scattered across the room, it's time to build the actual crypt that a pharaoh will be buried in. So, start by just placing down some stairs, and don't loop it around like I was about to do. Instead, place an emerald block, because it signifies that this tomb isn't just any old tomb, but specifically one for a pharaoh. So, then you can loop around the top with this, possibly place a block here, or just a stair, something to connect it all, although you might have to do some trial and error to figure it out, and end it with a slab. So, of course, it doesn't look the best right now, but a lot of trial and error is needed to perfect how a grave tomb thing looks. So, do a lot of different designs and see what works best. So, after some trial and error, I found a design I like. So, of course, remember, when designing these, you can do whatever you want. Like, just whenever you feel like it, you can just change small details like that. And say, I like that more, I can just make more small changes. So, just do a lot of trial and error and see how it works out for you. So, with that bottom dungeon part done, the build is finished. So, just a quick tour around it. On the outside, it's just a simple pyramid. So, nothing too spectacular, but still an amazing sight. On the inside, we have these nice gardens and a throne, along with just some cool designs in here. And behind the throne, we have the tomb that the pharaoh goes into, with some goodies in here as well. So, although it might take a while to build, especially with the exterior depending on the size, I highly recommend building this if you want to spice up your deserts, because honestly, it just looks amazing to see. Even if you don't want to do an interior, it's still an amazing thing that I recommend trying out. So, with that, it's the end of today's video. If you enjoyed this video, remember, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. So, with that, take care. Pyramids are cool. Gearsaw out.